Let me tell you how my grandmother's house was illegally sold and set on fire by Wells Fargo. So not only did they get paid once, they got paid twice, and they then said that we were wrong, but 5 years later sent us a check for $321 stating that they illegally sold our house during COVID. It pays to keep a record of your shit most of the time. But let me tell you something. Always keep a record of the stuff that your grandmother or your grandparents may have, especially if you don't want to sell grandma's house because they was on some fragging nigga bullshit. Now, it has come to my attention that Wells Fargo actually sold this home. Now, these are actually the paperwork that I received in the mail stating that they actually set the house on fire and went room to room, the middle room. And I knew they set the house on fire because I went to visit my grandmother's house, and guess what was missing? Her original wallpaper. It had flowers on the wall. It wasn't there. The whole room was actually black from the living room to her room that sits in the front of the house. And I know that. Why? Because we grew up there. What the fuck? Okay? The address is 2427 Woodbrook Avenue. It's actually right before you get to Northern Penn in Baltimore City, West Baltimore. Okay, that's when my grandmother had bought her house in 1975. I found the original deed. She bought it for $5,000 from her damn church. And then Wells Fargo decided that they were going to sell the shit in a foreclosure. And they did. So let's take a step back. In 2020, I actually tried to buy the house because I wanted my grandma's house to be my first home. So instead of it being my first home, I actually happened to find out my mother was behind on some sort of payments. The payments actually happened to be 2 payments that were worth like $650 a piece. So I went to the bank or called the bank, something of that sort, and said, oh, hey, I have the cash. Let's just pay the bill. Woo-de-woo-woo. Them little niggas decided they were going to call me and tell me, oh, no, you can't pay the bill. We're going to force this into a foreclosure. I said, but you're only like 60 to 90 days behind. So what the hell are you talking about? I have the cash right here. Why you just won't take it? She said, well, we can't take the cash because you need to go into foreclosure. Why are you forcing people into foreclosure? And I said, but I have an uncle in the house that my mom cares for legally on paper that is disabled in that house. What are you doing? I need to pay this mortgage. Well, I won't accept that. There's a disabled person in the house. I just told you that. Next chapter. So not from that conversation, actually probably about 2 months later, I received documents actually at the house. This house is now going on foreclosure. So we had to forcibly move my uncle out into a senior building that would accept the amount of rent that we could possibly pay. Lord Jesus, in Baltimore City. And on top of that, we had to then sign paperwork to say, all right, well, we're going to go through the foreclosure process since you're forcing this. And we had the cash, and we told y'all we had the cash. We kept documentation of everything. I have at least 2 to 3 bonders. But the only reason why I'm making the point of this is because this year, Wells Fargo actually mailed us a check for $321 stating that they illegally sold the house during COVID. So I was right the whole fucking time. Anywho, moving forward. These little niggas decided they were going to push us into foreclosure. So we signed up for the mediation process and said that we would like to actually try to buy the house. I said, Mama, I'll buy this house with you and we'll see how this goes. And I still was living with my mother at the time. So we figured we were going to make it work. By the time we actually got to mediation, which they accepted, this was, and mind you, this is during COVID. So everything is virtual and recorded, right? That means this is actually recorded. It's not just via mail. This is a recorded conversation that Wells Fargo was going to accept the mediation that was requested by Randy and Jill, right? We had even done the full estate process to avoid probate, get her siblings to sign off. So they didn't want ownership of the house. All that BS, just to make sure we were going to take care of her brother who was also disabled and still living in the house, right? Yes. So we did the mediation, probably about 3 months after the mediation, Christmas passes, I believe, and we start getting letters saying that the Wells Fargo actually denied the mediation. They were no longer going to sell us the house, regardless of whatever home loans that we were able to come up with. At that time, my mother had did like power of attorneys. I was able to sign off on things for my mom, help her with all the financial processes of actually maintaining and keeping my grandmother's home in the family. So they denied everything, and we was like, well, we're going to keep fighting it. We started receiving documents from Orleans PC, which is their legal company out of Virginia, saying that we didn't respond and we didn't do this and didn't do that. Mind you, we have documentation of everything. We have wet signatures, etc. We sent everything over, found home loans. They denied it. Some of the home loan companies was like, your neighborhood isn't valued at this much. You're not going to get $65,000. You're not going to get $100,000. We don't care if you want to fix it up. Blah, 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 blah. Mind you, I also had a home loan approval that year for $225,000. So you telling me that I can't redo this house? What the hell are you talking about? This neighborhood doesn't have this value. How you going to say this neighborhood? Anywho, so back to my point. What I'm saying is the reason why I was trying to say that they were saying that the neighborhood didn't have any value is because how in the hell do you come up with RCVs and depreciations and ACVs of $161,000, $102,000, and $264,000 in claim amounts to actually determine how much of the claim money is going to get paid for the fire that y'all set, since it don't have no goddamn value. Excuse my French. So, because the check that was actually paid as far as the fire that was set was about $46,000. Now, I'm so nosy. Mind you, I also have a policy background. So, I'm very nosy that I called 311. This is in Baltimore City. Called 311. I called the police department. I called records. I called the fire department. I called city council. And I called some of the other offices downtown Baltimore to find other additional records to say, was there any ambulance sent? Were the police sent? Was a fire set? Did you happen to see, did any neighbors call? Because the block, first of all, is a hot block. Niggas do drugs on it, okay? You got nigglets running up and down, doing drugs up and down it, down in North and Penn. You got people setting houses on fire. The house across the street was set on fire because somebody owes somebody money. I'm not gonna put out the we're not going into that. But anywho, y'all came up with these values, but you couldn't even help us. You figure out the home loan so that we can maintain, so we can keep the house and keep my uncle who's disabled that you evicted in the damn house, and we had the money for it. Effed up. So I lie to you not. After we received papers for the claims that they sent out the money to Wells Fargo, because the check went to Wells Fargo. After they got their check, there was information sent for the short sale of the house. They end up still selling the house. So not only did they get paid that one time from the claim, they got paid twice. And they got paid twice to the tune of at least $150,000 total for this property that they would not even help us get in the foreclosure process. That's all right, well, I guess we gotta let it go for now. I said, but I'm gonna figure out a way to get my grandmother's house back. I don't know how, because suing Wells Fargo will be a handful, like a ham in a damn handbasket, okay? But I believe that one day we are going to get this house back, because this was illegally done, and I have the paperwork to prove it. Now, roll forward just to speed up the story. I lied to you not. This year, in April, the check came in the mail from, I'm going to put the picture up here, and I'm going to get y'all the address. A check came in the mail stating that we were a part of some sort of settlement lawsuit that everyone was doing based on the legal sales of homes during COVID. We never signed up for this lawsuit whatsoever. This check just showed up to my mother's house, and it said for 2427 Woodbrook Avenue and this particular account number, you're receiving a payment because your home may have been or was, not may have been, it said that something was illegally done during the process and during COVID, when no one was supposed to be evicted out of their homes. So Wells Fargo, you need to do some coughing up, and you need to have restitution to pay, because you put out a disabled man that we were caring for, and we clearly told you that on the phone. And I also submitted CFPB records, the Consumer Finance Report something. I submitted all types of complaints. When I tell you that I have records of all of this happening, I have records. So don't act like that. Don't act like you're gonna pull one over us. We just didn't have no money to sue you, but best believe this is now on TikTok. So, Wells Fargo illegally sold my grandmother's house, set it on fire, and evicted my uncle who was disabled during COVID, and then wanted to right their wrongs with $321. No, I want that claim check back. I want the short sale money back, and I want the house back. Thank you.